take a look at broken chords this week on page 37. A broken chord is like an arpeggio. We're going to break up the chord tones from 4 notes or 3 notes. We can have a pattern like in the examples given here. So we use broken chord patterns and arpeggios as an accompaniment style for your melody or maybe for a voice. Let's take a look at how we write them this week. Broken chords appear in all sorts of music. Composers use them to give music different textures and to make accompaniments sound more interesting. Sometimes you can find 1-octave arpeggios within larger broken chord patterns. On question 1, you need to use crotchets. Write a broken chord using the D minor tonic triad going up. Use patterns of 3 notes each time. Finish on the A above the stave. So you need to make note of the last note. Sometimes you don't have to go on up till the next D. You will have to finish on the note given on the question. So you can see in this example, this is a 3-note pattern. We're going to use D, F, A, and the next pattern starts from the second note of the triad, which is F. Next we build up from F, A, D, and the next pattern we start on the third note of the triad. So we go up to A and build the triad and fill in the next 2 notes of the triad in the order. So D again, you can see this one's an F and this is an A. So it's a pattern that moves up or down like a scale. If you need to write 4 notes, you need to think of it like an arpeggio. Let's take a look at the second question. Using quavers beamed in 4s, write a broken chord using G major tonic triad going up. Use patterns of 4 notes each time. Let's take a look at this one. So they have given you the starting note, which is a G, and all we need to do is build the triad up from that G. Let's first write out what notes we need for the G major triad. So we pick up the first, third, and the 5th notes of the scale. G, A, B, C, and D. G, B, D. So here's your first note, G, here's the 3rd note, B, here's the 5th note. So you can count up the alphabet, G, A, B, that's your 3rd note, then the 5th note, G, A, B, C, D. Right, so I'm going to build up to G. From G, let's go up to B. Okay, so for 4 notes, we're going to have G, B, D, G. And the next pattern, I'm going to start with the B, the 2nd note, and go up to D, G, B, B, D, G, B. And the next pattern, I'm going to start with D, the 3rd note of the triad, and build it up from there. D, G, B, D. And the next note, I'm going to start with G again. G, B, D, G. Here's a G. So they've asked you to finish on the first G above the stave, and this is my first G above the stave. Now I can draw the stems. Alright, so let's move on to the next question. Using semiquavers beamed in 4s, write a broken chord using E minor tonic triad going down. Use patterns of 4 notes each time and finish on the E below the stave. So they have given you the starting note, which is an E. So let's first find out what notes we need for the triad. In the E minor triad, we needed E, and the third note G, and the fifth note is a B, and we're going to add up the fourth note and double the root like an arpeggio. So E, G, B, E, and now we're going to build up this pattern using these 4 notes. If you find it difficult to write the notes below in reverse order, because before E comes the note B and the G and E. If you find it difficult to write the notes below from the patterns, then we might need to start from the back end and move it up from there. So let's find out the last note. We need to end on the E below the stave. So let's find out the last note and build up the triad from E, G, B, and E. Next pattern starts on G, B, E, G. Next pattern starts on B, E, G, and B. Okay, so we have all the 4 patterns and the last pattern starts on E. So all we need to do now is draw the stems. Okay, so make sure you place the stems down. If most of your notes are below the 3rd line, make sure you place the stems up, and you don't have to worry about one single note that is above the 3rd line. We'll count the majority of the notes and figure out where the stem needs to go. Alright, so that's it for this week. I hope you can complete this lesson, and I'll see you next week.